And Howell, this is the way he wanted to present himself to the world. That's money stuffed into his clothes, and see, the guys he's with, it's in their mouths. This is the guy whose punchlines are about poor saps who are only worth a couple of $1 million. Did I tell you that I'm unemployed too? So there is the human problem for Mitt Romney. There's also the Mitt Romney candidate personal intangibles.
I'm afraid in some corners, people don't like you very much. I'm not just talking about Microsoft, I'm talking about private sector individuals generally. They feel somehow business is bad. The business people are bad. I don't dislike you. I love you. I appreciate what you do.
I love you too, man. Exactly the way that you mean that. How do you... Likability and affability are intangibles in a candidate. You can't even really teach them. You sort of have them or you don't. But they are an issue for Mitt Romney. They have always been an issue for Mitt Romney. The failure of Romney's candidacy to thrive also takes the form of his inability to get establishment Republicans on board with him. Just yesterday alone, former RNC chairman Haley Barbour, Mr. Establishment in the Republican Party, he was busy singing the praises of not Mitt Romney, but Mitt Romney's rival, Herman Cain, on conservative talk radio. The Republican Party's budget guy in Congress, Paul Ryan of Kill Medicare fame, he was praising Herman Cain's tax plan in the conservative blogosphere. And the Republican Party's beloved talk show host Rush Limbaugh spent yesterday essentially damning Mitt Romney with faint praise.
Romney is not a conservative. He's not, folks, but you can argue with me all day long on that, but he isn't. What he has going for him is that he's not Obama.
The thing that Mitt Romney has going for him, according to Rush Limbaugh, is the thing that 308 million other American citizens have going for them as well. Their name is not Barack Obama. The Republican establishment is not rallying behind Mitt Romney, not by a long shot. This election cycle has so far seen the lowest endorsement rate by Republican establishment figures of any election in the last 30 years. This is a Huffington Post analysis today. Look at that. At this point in years past, Republican establishment figures are publicly getting behind one candidate or another. Look at that in previous years. Now look at where we are this year. Not this time. Not with Mitt Romney. So if you are Mitt Romney in this failure to thrive scenario, yes, Herman Cain is sort of ahead of you right now. But if you think that that might not last, Becky, Stan, 999, for example. If you are Mitt Romney and you think it is possible that the Herman Cain surge might not last, then it is all about timing at this point. You've got to lock up the nomination before people realize that you may very well be a doomed candidate. You've got to lock up the nomination before there is, say, a Rick Perry resurgence. You've got to lock up the nomination, and soon. My favorite bit of intrigue right now is that people, including Herman Cain and Newt Gingrich and Jon Huntsman, are bailing on the entire Nevada caucuses. They're bailing on the state of Nevada because they say that Mitt Romney has, in Jon Huntsman's words, gamed the system. Mitt Romney trying to force the voting process to start earlier than it has ever started in order to lock up the nomination while Romney still has it, and nobody has figured out how to be the anti-Romney. Nobody has noticed what a doomed candidate he is and come up with an alternative plan. Quick, I'm ahead. Let's vote and end this thing now. Romney's rivals are alleging that Romney got Nevada to move their caucus up to early in January, which thereby bumped New Hampshire to December, which is bumping Iowa to roughly 5 minutes from now, or at least Thanksgiving. This is a mess right now. Love it. Joining us now is Eugene Robinson, Pulitzer Prize-winning columnist for The Washington Post and MSNBC political analyst. Gene, it's good to see you. Thanks for being here.
It's great to be here, Rachel.
How does this end, Gene? Should we be looking at Herman Cain as a potential nominee? How does this end?
Why do you want it to end, Rachel?
I know. I don't.
It's too much fun.
Honestly, I don't.
I don't know how it ends. I don't see Herman Cain as a potential nominee in any universe. Mr. Black Walnut, he called himself. I just don't see it. But the Republicans clearly, the rank and file, and even the establishment, establishment, they just don't love Mitt Romney. They're not enthusiastic about it. All the internals of all the polls show there's very little intensity behind Mitt Romney, and this is a problem. If your support is flatlined like that, and you're supposed to be the prohibitive frontrunner, you do have a problem.
It is amazing to look at that polling over time. I graphed that today for the first time to say what's happened over, say, the past year, because Mitt Romney's been running for president for roughly 5 years. We knew that he was going to be doing this. And to see him be at 23% a year ago and 23% a year now with just a little wiggle in the middle of it, other than that, essentially just flatlining, it does imply that he's got a bit of a ceiling in terms of his support. Is there any way for him to break through that ceiling? Is there any way for him to make Rush Limbaugh stop talking smack about him? Any way to get Republicans more excited about his candidacy?
You know, if there is, he hasn't found it. I mean, look, there's not enough time left for him to invent yet another political persona for himself, right? So he can't become this sort of, Rick Perry without the drawl and with some debating skills overnight. He can't become Chris Christie overnight. He's Mitt Romney, and his record is his record. And in fact, in the past, he has taken positions that are anathema to many conservatives in the Republican Party now, and they don't trust him. So if he keeps working at it, I guess this is the way he has to think of it. If I keep working at it, I'm going to wear them down. And he hasn't worn them down yet. He just can't seem to climb above that 23%.
Gene, let me ask you about one thing about the Herman Cain candidacy and the way we have seen these other surges from other candidates, Michelle Bachmann and Rick Perry in particular, is that they surged sort of either because of support from conservatives or the media sort of getting a wild hair about them, I think, in some cases. But then they faded as soon as they started getting front-runner level scrutiny, as soon as people started going through their records and fact-checking stuff that they said. Herman Cain surge is being treated differently. Even though he is ostensibly the front-runner, he's not really getting front-runner scrutiny. I mean, people are sort of looking at the 999 plan and going, wow, it's like Steve Forbes with fewer vowels. But, I mean, like, he's really not getting that scrutiny. Does that mean that he could actually be the front-runner for longer because people can't take him seriously enough to ask him real questions?
Well, it's possible. I mean, you got to figure that one of these surges might catch, and the later the surge, the better the chance that it could happen at the right time. That said, I don't see Herman Cain being the nominee, and I don't see the surge lasting long, simply because there doesn't seem to be a lot of there. I mean, if you look at 999, you find not much. Not even 8.5. You don't find it, and beyond that, who's Becky Stan or whatever it was he said. I mean, there's going to be a foreign policy debate at some point, and my goodness, what is that going to be like if Herman Cain is the front runner during the foreign policy debate? I don't see it. But I was going to say stranger things have happened. I'm trying to imagine one.
If there is a foreign policy debate and Herman Cain still is the front runner, a lot of popcorn will be sold. Eugene Robinson, Pulitzer Prize-winning Washington Post columnist, MSNBC political analyst. Gene, thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Great to be here, Ray.